All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the lesson on solving linear equations. Now, before we solve anything, let's understand the term linear. What does linear mean and what does equation mean? Okay. So linear literally means a straight line. But in algebra, which I think you already know, it's finding an unknown. Linear means that particular unknown, maybe if it's an A or a B or a C, whatever the unknown is, the power of that unknown is 1. Okay, now let me just rewind a little bit to an earlier topic in which we learned about powers. Now, 2 squared, you would have been familiar with this, is equals to 4. It means 2 to the power of 2 equals to 4. Now I can also write another equation called 2 cube. Now what does 2 cube means? 2 to the power of 3, which is 2 times 2 times 2. The answer is 8. So this is what we call as index or powers. Okay. However, in a linear equation, all our unknown, whatever algebra that we have, the powers are just 1. So we do not involve squares. We do not talk about powers which are cubes. Okay? So it's all to the power of 1. That's what linear means. Now, the next thing is about equations. Okay? Now, the other word that's opposite to equation is expression. Okay, let me tell you the subtle difference between expression and equation. Now, let's say I give you a term, 2x plus 3. Okay, this is an expression. The minute I put an equal sign and I say this is maybe 11, then this whole thing becomes an equation. Very simple. The way to recognize is when you see the equal sign, then it's an equation. If you do not see the equal sign, then it's an expression. That's it. Okay? So now let's move on to this chapter called Solving Linear Equations. Now, we'll skip this. Okay, now before we move on, let's just do a chapter review in which I'm going to ask you, or you can actually look at it. These are all definitions. Now, definitions are very important. So let's try it out. Okay. Look at it. What is a formula? What is an equation? What is an expression? What is an identity equation? What's a linear equation? And what's a term? Okay. So let's read each and every one. This has an equal sign and solution for the unknown. For example, 3x equals 12, and it has a solution in which we can work it out as x equals to 4. And this is exactly what we're going to do in this chapter. Now, doesn't this sound familiar with what I just expressed or told you all earlier? So this is the definition of an equation. It could also be, let me see, other definitions. Okay, let's see. Okay, well, we'll have to be careful first. Okay, this has a solution and the powers of the variable are no greater than 1. For example, 3x plus 1 is equals to 30. Now this, when they mention about powers of the variable or the unknown, the algebra, are no greater than 1. It's just 1. Then you must by now relate this to the word linear, and thus it's known as linear equation. Now let's look at the third one, a mathematical phrase containing both letters and numbers, but never an equal sign. Remember this? I just told you this is an expression. Now what about this? A collection of numbers and letters, but not plus or mean positive or negative. For example, x, 3y, 2a squared. They're a collection of numbers and letters, but they do not have the addition and subtraction symbol in it. So this is what we call as terms. Okay? Now, let's look at this. This is true no matter what values are used. For example, A plus B is the same as B plus A. Guys, if you get confused by these kind of formulas, the trick is replace it with a number. Make A as 1 and B as 2. Now, well, let's see when you do this, you will see what is 1 plus 2 and then is the same as 2 plus 1. You may think that this is so simple. 1 plus 2 is the same as 2 plus 1. But what is the mathematical law behind this? It's an equation. So it's an identity equation. Do you understand? We have a name for such a thing. Okay. Now let's go to the last one. This has multiple unknowns. We use it to solve problems. For example, we want to find an area of a circle. The form, I have missed, I pronounced it. I've already told you the answer. The formula. Okay. Now, can you see the area? You will learn this later of a circle is pi r squared. Can you see that? Where pi is a certain value, r is refers to something in the circle, and a square is happening here. So when they tell you how to solve it, this becomes a formula to find something. So these are some basic terms that you need to understand before we can move on in this chapter. Okay, so all right, and now let's start. Okay, assuming there are the same number of counters in each bag. So there are 3 bags here, and there are some counters inside the bag which you don't know. Okay, but you only know one thing, that the total counters is 24. So the question is, how many counters does each bag hold? Now, when I draw a picture like that and I put the number like this, your brains can easily say that, I know there are 8 counters. Now, how did you get that value 8? You just took 24 and divided by 3 bags and you got the answer 8. Correct? Now, the same question, it's a simple one, thus we can do it easily, can be taught in an algebraic manner where I make an equation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a linear equation. Do you understand? So there are 8 counters in each bag. So now we can use algebra to solve this problem. Now, this is an easy problem. That's why it's an easy example. That's why I am using it. But when it comes to higher level or more challenging questions, you use the same method. You don't have to draw. Okay? So let's see how we can solve the same question using algebra. Okay. The first thing we'll need to do is we say that the number of counters, since we don't know, right? We don't know how many counters. So we assume that it's X. So we don't know. It's X, it's X, it's X. All we know is they are the same. That's why I didn't say X and then this is Y and this is Z. No, this is X, this is X, this is X. If you ask, can I use A? Yeah, no problem. This can also be A. Remember, algebra is an unknown. So in this case, we do not know how many counters. So we call it as A. We put in that definition that A is the counters in each bag. Okay? All right? We put that. We are the one creating this. A is the counters in each bag. In this example, they use X. So we go back to X, yeah? So how many bags are there? 3 bags. So the equation is 3x because it could be, say, it could be x plus x is 3x. If you don't understand that, let me tell you, what is 2 plus 2 plus 2? Isn't it 3 times 2? So this goes back to your basics where you learn that multiplication is repeated addition. So x plus x is the same as 3x. And on the other side of the equation, the answer is 24. Now here I would like to introduce two thinking. We mean a thinking called the left side of the equation and the right side of an equation. For an equation to be true, what is on the left must be same as what is on the right. This is very important to use. When you use the symbol equation, you must follow this law that what's on the left must be what's on the right. Okay, so now let's go back to our example. So 3x is equals to 4. And then, now the second rule here is, when you want to find x, okay, you want to find that unknown. So what is bothering you here is the 3, correct? And this 3 is actually multiplying with x, 3 times x. Now, what we need to do on the left is we need to make this 3 disappear. We got to make it like disappear completely. Now, what you're going to do to make it disappear? So, before we go there, let's just remind you that what you do on the left, you must also do on the right. Okay, remember that, huh? Okay, so now we have 3x. There are 4 operations in maths that you know: addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Now, let me just tell you, this is called a pair and this is another pair. Of course, you know BODMAS, right? Okay, here we have 3 times x. Now, the equation is multiplication. It's using multiplication. In order to make this disappear, in order to just get x, I must use the opposite of multiplication, which is division. So what I need to do is I've got to divide by 3 on my left. Now, what happens when 3x divide by 3? It will cancel off, leaving you with x. And then you write the equal sign. Okay, you write the equal sign. And what you did on the left, you must also do it on the right. So you also divide by 3 on the right, leaving you with the answer 8. So this is a very simple example. You can see the pictures to help you. So what was the first step that I did? I said that we use the term x to represent the number of counters in each bag. Okay, then we create the formula 3x is equals to 24. This is an equation. It's a linear equation. The x is power of 1 here. Okay, now after doing that, we need to do what we call as the reciprocal. Oh, the thing is, end of the day, I want to find x. Now, how do I find x? Is I got to make the 3 disappear. Now, since it's a multiplication, I use the opposite operation, which is a division. So I will divide by 3 on the left and I will also divide by 3 on the right, because what I do on the left, I must do on the right. Okay, when I do that, I will get 8 as my answer. Now, what if it's an addition? Then you do subtraction. Got it? What if it's a subtraction? Then you do addition. What if it's a division? Then you do multiplication to cancel it off. Okay, this is exactly what you're going to do in this chapter. So let's look at the next question here, or the next example. Now, let's read the question first. There are equal number of counters in both bags. That means what? If I say this is x, then this is also x. That's what equal means. See, every time you read a question, you pay attention to what you are reading. You don't simply read. There are equal number of counters in both bags. So if that means there are 10 here, means there's also another 10. You understand? Okay. That's just an example. Okay. Now, I have 2 bags of counters and 3 extra counters. Now, altogether, I have 15 counters. How many counters do I have in each bag? You see that? This is what we call as a word problem question. And this word problem question is beautifully explained by drawing to you 2 bags. Now you can also do this in exam, but you don't have to literally draw a bag. You can just draw a little square to represent a bag. And then you can say this is A. And then plus with another bag, okay, with of course the same unknown, which is A. And plus with how many? 3 counters. It gives you 15 counters. You see, you have now created your own linear equation. Now, what is A plus A? Just like the earlier example. Okay, 2 plus 2 is the same as 2 times 2. Correct? So let's say 3 plus 3 is the same as 2 times 3. So over here, A plus A is the same as 2 times A, which is 2A. Then I will continue. The equation equals to 15. Now, what do I do? You see, there are two things you got to do here because you want to get to A, you want to just find A, you must first get rid of the positive 3 or the plus 3. After that, you have got to get rid of the 2. So literally, there are there's like two steps you need to do here. The first step is the plus 3. You got to make it disappear. So you got to do the opposite, which is a minus 3. So what we do? We write the minus 3 on the left. We also write the minus 3 on the right. Put a circle, a small thing, so that you know what you're doing. So what happens? Plus 3 minus 3, this will cancel off, leaving you just with 2A, but equals to, what is 15 minus 3? It's 12. Got it? Now, we have 2 times A is equals to 12. We got to get rid of the 2 now. Now, 2 is a multiplication. That means it's times 2. So the opposite would be divide by 2. You got to do that. So now what I will do, I will say divide by 2 is the next way to get rid. So divide by 2 on the left and divide by 2 on the right. So I'm sorry here. 12 divide by 2 and the answer would be 6. You got that? All right, let's see the working here. All right, and so that's what it is. And here in this picture, they show you how to actually write it out. Now, you don't have to draw these lines per se, but what you got to do is understand how to get rid of the terms. Okay, so if this is a plus 3, you minus 3 on the left, you minus 3 on the right. Straight away, you can write 2x is now equals to 15 minus 3, 12. If you want to do this in the exam, no problem. Okay, now again, now 2x is equals to 12. We want to get rid of the 2. We want to just have the value of x. So what we do is a division, and then 12 divided by 2, the answer is 6. So this is how, okay, of course, coming back, there are 6 counters in each bag. You can now test this. 6 plus 6 plus 3. So 6 plus 6 is 12. 12 plus 3 is 15. Your answer is correct. And what you have just done is you have solved a linear equation. And this is how you do it. Okay? So let's look at another example. Okay? Look at this. A plus 4 is equals to 12. So we know that something, something, when you add 4 to it, it becomes 12. So how do I get the value of A? So over here, I need to get rid of the plus 4. So what I need to do, I need to minus 4 on my left side of the equation, leaving me just A. And I also do the same thing on the right side of the equation. So 12 minus 4 is 8. That's it. I know this is something you have learned in primary school. Instead, in fact, usually they will just leave it as an empty box and then they say plus 4 is equals to 12. Now, this is so easy a question because the numbers are very simple. But example, that's why it's simple. As it goes on, it can become more difficult. Okay? All right. So this method is called something, it's called the funnel method. Now, what is a funnel method? Funnel method is like you're taking away whatever terms that is attached to that unknown that you want to find. So you kind of make it disappear. That's what I've been telling you earlier. Okay? All right. No need to remember, oh, funnel method, this method. No need. You just know how to do. Okay? All right. See, read this very carefully. Huh? Your aim, the aim here is to get the letter is the alphabet, the unknown, on one side of the equal sign. That means they give you something, something, something equals to something, something, something. All I want to do is get that alphabet alone on one side and everything else on the right. Okay? And the numbers on the other. You are only able to cancel one term or number at a time. Don't try to be too smart and do 2, 3 things. Okay, like just now you had two things to do. You had to do an addition or subtraction first, then you do a division. Do it one by one. Okay, and this process is called, okay, and you must use what we call as the inverse. Now, what is the inverse? The inverse of a plus is a subtraction. The inverse of a subtraction is an addition. Okay, this is the first understanding. But then you have multiplication and division. The inverse of a multiplication, that means you do the opposite, is division. The inverse of a division is a multiplication. And that's how you can cancel off that particular term. Okay. Now, of course, this example is already done. Okay. So now let's go and look at this next question. Okay. 2x minus 6 is equals to 8. Now, very simple. We need to find what is x. So before that, there is a minus 6 here. So we get rid of the minus 6 first. So what I'm going to do, this is the way to write it out. You must write back that same thing properly. Now you want to minus 6, you have a minus 6 here. So what you do is the inverse, which is the plus 6. So do one step at a time. So when you do the inverse, this will cancel off. Negative 6 plus 6 is 0. So you are left with 2x. And you look carefully where I write my 2x. I don't write it here. I write it nearer here because why? I want to maintain that equation line. So over here also, you will have to plus 6. What you did on the left, you must do on the right. So 8 plus 6 is 14. Now, you have a 2 there. You want to get rid of the 2, and that's a 2 times x. So what do we need to do? We need to divide by 2. Do the inverse, the opposite. So when you take 2 divide by 2, obviously you know you will cancel it off and you are left with x. And what you did on the left, you also do on the right. So now 14 divided by 2, answer 7. You just found what is the value for the unknown. You have solved a linear equation. Okay? That's the gist of this topic. All right, let's look at the next example. There are some questions here. Okay? And I will explain each and every one so that you understand deeper. Now, before I start explaining, you can pause this video right now and try out all these questions on your own and then check with my answers. So you can pause it now and then you can check later. Okay. So now I'm going to explain. So a minus 5 equals to 20. So there is a minus 5 that I need to get rid of. So a is equals to, I have to do the opposite, which is plus 5. This is a minus 5, I plus 5, then it cancels off. And I have to do that same thing over here, plus 5. So 20 plus 5 is 25. That's it, done. Now what about this? 5x is equals to 30. So I will write down 5x is equals to 30. Then I know 5 times x is equals to 30. I have to do the inverse, which is divide by 5. So 5 divided by 5, you can know, you can see it becomes 1. So I left with x. And then over here also, you have got to divide by 5. Following the rule that what you do on the left, you also do on the right. And 30 divided by 5 is 6. Good job. Okay. Now, these are very simple equations. Here is where it can get a little challenging, but not so much because it's kind of easy as well. 2x plus with 4 is equals to 12. The first thing I need to get rid of is 4. Okay, because add 4, you just minus 4. So minus 4 on the left. Then this will become 0. Now you're left with 2x. And what is 12 minus 4? It is 8. And then to find x, I only need to divide by 2 on my left and divide by 2 again on my right. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. That's your answer. Okay, now let's do number 4. Number 4 is 3y minus 5 is equals to 25. So now what I'll need to do is I have to do the inverse, okay? So I have to plus 5 to the left side of my equation, leaving me 3y because negative 5 plus 5 is 0. Then you do plus 5 on the right. So this will become 30. 25 plus 5 is 30. Then to find y, all I need to do is divide by 3 on my left and divide by 3 on the right. And that gives me 10. You have just solved it. Okay, hope you got it right. Now, Number 5, if you look at it, it's a little bit challenging because they have now a negative number, which is your chapter 1. All right, so let's try 9z plus 8 equals to negative 10. Remember this. I got to get rid of my plus 8, so I minus 8. Correct? So now I have 9z. And if you're not so sure, you write down negative 10 minus 8. You don't have to like do it at the side. You can write it out like this, okay, like an equation. And you can first solve this first. Don't go straight away, go to z. You solve this. What is negative 10 minus 8? So it's negative 18, okay? And then, okay, then you can find, so you can even write back again. 9z is equals to negative 18. Now I want to find just z. And that's when I'll have to divide by 9 on the left and divide by 9 on the right. So 18 divided by 9 is 2, but my negative symbol must follow. That's it. Okay, so this is a quick explanation of chapter. However, one extra part here is, let's say when we have brackets. Okay, now we did linear expressions before and we learned already how to expand brackets in that chapter. You just got to do the same thing over here. Okay, so the rule is first expand the bracket. So how do you expand the bracket? The number outside gets to multiply with every term inside the bracket. So 3 times 2t, you get 60. 3 times 4, you get 12. And now you have a beautiful linear equation. Okay, so the next thing is you solve it like what you have learned in this topic. Okay, you can use that funnel method. 60 minus 12 is 24. What you need to do is find the inverse or do the inverse. Negative 12 means plus 12 on the left, plus 12 on the right. That leaves you 60. It's equals to 24 plus 12 is 36. And then to find t alone, you're going to divide by 6 because this is 6 times t. So divide by 6 on the left, divide by 6 on the right. T is equals to 6. That's it. Final answer. This is how we solve. In fact, one step more, linear equations involving brackets. And the next one, beautifully done, is involving fractions. Now, this is not difficult. Don't get scared at all. Okay? It is so easy. All right, let's look at it. Now, what is fraction? If you remember very well, I've told you a million times, fraction is division. Do you understand? So, first of all, there is a plus 1 here. So, we minus 1 on both sides, okay, to get rid of the 1 first. So, you're left with y over 3 is equals to 11. Now, remember, fraction is a division. So, to cancel off a division, what do we need to do? Do the inverse of it. Remember, if multiplication, you do division. But if it's a division, you do multiplication. And division looks like a fraction. So when you see a division sign, don't get scared. All you need to do is do the multiplication, the inverse of it. So if I times 3, what happens? You cancel off, and cancelling is something you've been doing since primary school. See that? Okay. So now you have got 11, right, as the answer. So 11 times 3 is 33. Y is equals to 33. That's where. So fractions means it's not going to be too difficult. Fraction is a division. So the inverse of division is multiplication. Okay, and you've got 3 more questions to do here. Pause the video again and try out these questions and check whether you have got it right. So now I'm going to solve it. So first thing is you have got to expand the bracket. So 2 times 5m, you're going to get 10m, okay? All right, and then minus 2 times 3 is 6 equals to 14. And then I straight away now, inside my mind, I already know how to do. Once I know how to do, I know I must plus 6. You straight away can write like this, 14 plus 6. Do it, okay? And you know you will get the answer 20. So you write again, 10m is equals to 20. Then m will be divide by 10 on the left and divide by 10 on the right. So 20 divided by 10, it's 2. That's it. You can start doing it mentally. Okay, first you write it down, left, right, left, right. But it will come to a time when you can actually do it mentally. Okay, number 2. 2, okay, x plus 3 is equals to 7. So expand the bracket. You will get 2x plus 6 equals to 7. Then you'll have 2x is equivalent to 7 minus 6. And that will be equivalent to 1. So 2x is equivalent to 1. X will be equivalent to divide by 2. So 1 divide by 2 lah. It's half. That's it. Okay? All right. Now let's clear. And let's look at the last question. Okay? 2r plus 1 divide by 3 is equals to 3. Now, there are just a bit extra, okay? One more extra step here. Why? Because first, there's a 2 times r, then there's a plus 1, then it's a divide by 3. Now, in order to understand this, there actually ought to be a little bracket that closes this term first. In other words, before I can do anything here, I got to get rid of the 3 at the bottom there. So it's a divide by 3, right? So what I need to do is I need to times 3 on the left and times 3 on the right. Get rid of that 3 at the bottom. So what happens now? I will have my 2r plus 1 quite free out of the bracket. Okay, and that is 3 times 3 is 9. And now I can just have 2r. So I go to minus 1 and 9 minus 1 is 8. And then I just find my r, which is 8 divided by 2, 4. Done. Okay, so this is how you answer questions or solve questions that involve linear equations. Okay, hot question. What is the value of x if the area of this rectangle is 110 centimeters squared? This is how whatever you learn comes into practice. They're asking you to find the value of x, but they tell you that the area of this rectangle is 110. And that goes back to your basic knowledge on how to find area. You got it? So area is found by how? Length multiplied by width. Correct or not? Wait, let me go back a bit. Okay, length multiplied by the width. So to find the area, you need to take 3x minus 1 and multiply it by 10. Okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to swap the areas answer to the other side and this answer come first. So let's open up the bracket. 3x times 10 is 30x. Okay? 30x minus 10 is equals to the area. But instead of writing A anymore for area, I will use the answer that they've given is 110. Don't worry about the units right now. Just work with the numbers. Again, now I can use what I've learned before. There's a minus 10 means you got a plus 10. So 110 plus 10 will be 120. And then I have to find x, I've got to divide by 30. Now, in case you don't know, you can write it out. 120 divided by 30. You can see it much better. Cut. 12 divided by 3 is 4. There you see. What is the value of x if the area of the rectangle is 110? Why did they use the word if? Because they are giving you a certain number here, which can change. Now, when this number changes, the value of x will definitely also change. Do you understand? Because now area is length times height. That's fine. This formula is fine. Okay, this formula is going to be fixed. But this answer can change. So every time this value changes, answer will change. Okay? All right, I hope you understand this. Okay, and that's it for the lesson.